One day Al-Hasan al-Basri was in class in Basra when someone came to him and said, Imam, there are some people who say that whoever commits a major sin is a kafir and lost for all eternity. And there are some people, and he was referring to the Khawarij, he said, and there are some people who say that if someone commits a major sin, they're still a perfect Muslim. And Al-Hasan al-Basri was about to answer his query when Wasil ibn Ata, who was sitting in the class, said, as far as I'm concerned, that person is neither a kafir nor a Muslim, but he's lost in the fire for all eternity. Al-Hasan al-Basri expelled him from class. And Wasil ibn Ata broke off and formed what we know as the Mu'tazila. Based upon i'tazalna, we've isolated ourselves. And he began to start his own circle of studies. The year 132 came. And in this year, the Abbasids overthrew the Umayyah in a big way. They are from the household of Al-Abbas. If we remember from the hadith early when we spoke in Ramadan about the 4 branches of the household of the Prophet ﷺ that don't receive zakah, Abbas was one of them. They came from a big jama'ah called Al-Hashimiyyah, which were from Banu Hashim. And what they did is they saw that there were people among them from Abdullah ibn Sabah's group, which later became the 12er Shia, that were making takfir on the Bani Umayyah. And what happened is the Banul Abbas put them in their army. They said, yes, come in our army. And they put them in their army. Because Banul Abbas were Sunnis, but they put them in their army. And all the different elements they put in their army until they physically overthrew the Umayyads. Once they overthrew the Umayyads, their shock troops, which were their infantrymen, turned and killed all the Shia and all the other rebellious troops that had been around. They said, kill every single last one of them. And they killed all of them. And so this man, Abul Abbas, Abdullah ibn Muhammad ibn Ali, was called as-Saffah, the bloodshedder. As-Saffah, the bloodshedder, because of how much devastation and killing that he did. And they brought in a new era, the Abbasid era. I want you to listen very carefully. The Bani Umayyah fled. And Abdul Rahman al-Dakhil escaped to Andalus. And the Umayyads continued their Khilafah system in Andalus until 1492 when they were removed. You need to remember that the system that was in Spain was not the Abbasi system. That was a continuation of Bani Umayyah. And so for the first time, you now had 2 Khilafah systems, both claiming lineage. And in the Khilafah, the Ummah was now divided in Khilafah. There was no longer one central Khilafah. Because you had the Bani Abbas saying, Banul Abbas saying, we are the rightful rulers. We're related to the Prophet ﷺ. He said, did he not say, Al-Khilafatu fi Quraysh? The Khilafah is in Quraysh. It's an authentic hadith. It's in Muslim, it's in Bukhari, it's in Ahmed. The Khilafah is in Quraysh. And if there were 2 men left on earth, and one of them was Quraysh and was not, the man that is Quraysh will rule. That's in Sahih al-Jami'. It's that important. But the Bani Umayyah said that Al-Hasan handed it to Muawiyah. And that our people after us have ruled. And we have ruled, and look at what we have done. You didn't build Masjid al-Aqsa. You didn't purify the temple compound of the dome and Masjid al-Aqsa and build the Umayyi Masjid and all these structures. They were tyrannical, but you have to admit, a lot of the structures that they built are remarkable. And so what did the Banul Abbas do? They said, we're going to build better than you. And they began a huge process of building. They said, as-Saffah gave strict orders. Whoever you meet from the Bani Umayyah that rules, make him taste the sword. So whoever of the Bani Umayyah is left, kill every single last one of them. They escaped the Bani Umayyah because Damascus was overthrown. Damascus was overthrown. They escaped. and made it to Egypt, then to North Africa, the rest of North Africa, and then made their way all the way until they reached Andalus, because they had no other way to be assisted. They had no other assistance. They had to make it to Andalus. Once they made it to Andalus, they were welcomed, and they gave bay'ah to an emir, and that emir became the Khalifa. That emir became the Khalifa. Now, at this point, the Banul Abbas, from 133 to 134, as-Saffah continued a rampage where he said to members of Bani Umayyah, I will grant you protection. And the ones that were left, when they returned, he killed them. And those that didn't return heard the horror stories where they were. Monuments were defaced. People were killed. They sent out troops to kill anyone who was different. Banul Abbas, because the Bani Umayyah had made the currency, the Banul Abbas devalued all the currency. They devalued the currency. They recalled all the currency and had a new currency struck. The Banul Abbas came in with the black flags from Khurasan, because they marched out from Khurasan. So they came with black flags coming out of Khurasan. And they said, we are the legitimate rulers. In 134, as-Saffah, the bloodshed, Abdullah, came down to Al-Anbar and began to build up the area of Iraq, which is another thing. They moved the administration to Iraq again. They moved the administration to Iraq. Bani Umayyah were based in Damascus. They moved the administration to Iraq. Damascus almost became like a ghost town. Sham became like a ghost town. Well, they killed almost everyone around there that was from Bani Umayyah, so it's bound to be a little bit empty. In the year 135, Banul Abbas continued their reign by looking for anyone who had been appointed by Bani Umayyah that shared sympathies with him and killing them. Ata al-Khurasani, the great alim, came down to Jerusalem and was teaching there and witnessed some of what later happened from the Abbasids. Many ulama at this time began to write thicker books and make heftier notes in fiqh and hadith books because of the concern of what may happen with the knowledge because of all the fighting and devastation. When the year 136 came, a number of scholars died, like Ash'ath ibn Sawar al-Kindi and Ja'far ibn Rabi'ah. As time went on, the Banul Abbas, they consolidated their power base. But they were still weak because they'd overthrown the government. They'd overthrown the government, but the sides of the empire, the corners, were not theirs. The inside was theirs. Damascus, Iraq, that area was theirs. But they didn't have the North African, the part of North Africa going into Andalus. So that area that's making sort of almost an L lying down, all the way from Egypt up to there, it's in the shape of almost an L lying down. They didn't have that area. And they weren't able to consolidate their strength in that area because before they could get out there and do something about it, Bani Umayyah had already set their feet down in Spain and were building a civilization in Spain. So when you think of Alhambra and all these other things, think Muawiyah, think Bani Umayyah. They built it. When you think of all these monuments, you may have wondered, why is there this similarity between Spain and Syria? It's weird. Masjids look the same. The buildings look the same. The palaces look the same. That's because they're the same people. They're the same people. The very same people. Even the way the Arabic is written, that Maghribi script, that's Umayyah script. That's how the Bani Umayyah used to have things done. That's how they used to have things written. So you're looking at their legacy. I want to finish on a couple of points here because we've almost completed our point. In Dhul Hijjah of this year, in Dhul Hijjah of year 136, as-Saffah, the bloodshedder, Abu Abbas, Abdullah ibn Muhammad ibn Ali ibn Abdullah ibn Abbas al-Hashimi, died at Al-Anbar. He was 32 years of age. He was the first Khalifa of the Banul Abbas. He was tall and fair-skinned, with good features and a nice long beard. His reign lasted for 5 years. During that time, there was massive fighting. And there were people that left from the Abbasi rule and rebelled. Some of them were helped by Bani Umayyah. Others, such as in Sudan, rebelled on their own. Districts like in Andalus did so because they were from Bani Umayyah. And structure continued. So, in the time of the Bani Umayyah, when they collapsed, the as-Saffah, the bloodshedder, takes over. But he dies, and the Banul Abbas are already threatened with collapse. Why? Because as quick as they came in, remember, they come into power, their armies full with cultists and everything that they use to secure their power base. Then they execute all of them. So they killed about 2/3 of their power base, exterminated them. And with the rest of the people that were left, after culling all of the people that were their supporters, like cattle, they said, now we will begin, and they began putting their people in place. Who is he? Well, he's related to Bani Umayyah, kill him. And they killed him. Who's he? He's a scholar. Does he have a problem with us? He said, okay, kill him. And there began to be these struggles. After as-Saffah died, there was a massive struggle within the Umayyads, within the Abbas, the Banul Abbas, over who was going to be in charge. There was a massive struggle. Now, today, inshallah, I've almost reached 241. I've almost reached there, but I'm just short. So what I will do, I will not hold everyone over. Inshallah, it won't take me long, inshallah, to reach 241. I want to take you up from the death of Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal to 341, which will be after the murder of Al-Hasan al-Balbahari. And you'll see the effect that that has. So again, we've got another 2 calamities next week, inshallah. We've reached some of them. أقول قولي هذا استغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم يرحم الراحمين